glasses up here, so it's a good thing he made it through. Jeff would have been called on, so yeah. Okay, our next speaker we'd like to introduce is Jamie Berger. He is a family friend, and Jamie and his wife Sherry were friends of Cheryl's. So, thank you, Jamie.
Good afternoon to all. When Diane Facebook messaged me and asked me to speak today, my response was, I'd be honored. So here we are today. Cheryl Scherer, daughter, sister, friend, classmate, prom queen, loyal employee, all-around fun-loving person. Don't touch me. These things need to come with directions.
Yeah, they did.
I'll kind of start over. My response was, I'd be honored, so here we are today. Cheryl Scherer, daughter, sister, friend, classmate, prom queen, loyal employee, all-around fun-loving person that described by all of us that have had the pleasure of knowing her. November 22nd, 1963, John Kennedy assassination. I was in my mom and dad's kitchen. April 13th, 1979, in my International Scout in Benton, close to Amerimart. September 11th, 2001, sitting in my living room getting ready to go to the courthouse. Most people in this room can relate to those 3 dates and know where they were and what they were doing when they received the news or the alert. I worked for Snyder Equipment Company at the time, in 1979, which is now Baker Implement in Cape Girardeau, along with Raymond Scherer, Cheryl's father. Raymond and I were very good friends, having worked together for several years farming prior to working at Snyder Equipment Company. Our conversations always evolved around family, fast-pitch softball, and the St. Louis Cardinals. My wife, Sherry Urhanberger, 41 years, and Cheryl went through 8 years at St. Denis together, then 4 more years at Kelly High School. Our family's friendship, like most in small-town USA, was a respectable bond. And Sherry would always say how nice and sweet a person Cheryl always was, and that everybody has always alluded to that. I received a radio call to come to the office that dreadful day in April because Cheryl Scherer, Raymond's daughter, was missing from her job at Scott City. How can this be? Processing that radio transmission at the time didn't really compute. My mind was racing as I drove back to Cape, thinking by the time I get to Cape, she will have been located and this will all be resolved. Can everybody hear me okay? At the time, who would ever realize we would be assembled here marking the 40th anniversary of her disappearance without much trace of anything? Only God, Cheryl, and the evil person or persons that were involved in the event actually know what took place in Scott City on that day. In the Midwest, in Scott County, Missouri, you grow up and around family and friends, you grow old with your spouse and enjoy your children and grandchildren. You spend time with your parents and truly enjoy the simple things God has blessed us with. For the majority of us in this room, that is how it is and has been and what we have prayed for. But for Raymond, Libby, Cheryl, Anthony, and Diane Scherer, that hasn't been the case. That trust, sense of family security was rocked that day in April of '79 and continues to this day. Family and friends gathered, supporting the family and each other. Prayer vigils were held and still are in hopes of some information that will lead to solving this 40-year mystery. I feel that is the reason we're assembled here today, to keep the memory of Cheryl alive and hope it reaches someone that would share insight into that day's happenings. Cheryl's life, although way too short as spent with us, has brought a community together for years in prayer and support, in the faith that one day God will ease our sadness and fear of evil actions affecting our lives. John Kennedy, Cheryl Scherer, and the 2,500 plus people involved in 911 weren't aware of their respective tragic days, that their lives, along with many others who love them, would be changed forever. Way too often, and I'm sure others take for granted, when we leave in the morning for work or whatever, that evening when we come home, all is going to be the way we left it. I got darn allergies so bad, people, I apologize. This event and reading about disappearance like Cheryl's always brings me to the realization life can change abruptly, and we should cherish our time spent together, and nothing should be taken for granted. So this evening or in the morning, tell your family members how much you love them, because you never know when or how that lifetime separation will take place. In closing, on behalf of Cheryl Scherer and all gathered here today, we implore anyone with pertinent information, knowledge, to please come forward, no matter how trifling it may be, so there can be some type of closure attained. To Raymond Scherer in heaven, I can't wait to go Cardinals again with him. To Olivia, I hope you continue to get better. Anthony, Diane, thank you for asking me. It's been an honor.
Thank you.